Come, seeker, come, traveler, come, all humankind, online or in person, whomever you love. Come and be welcome at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Cheyenne, for here we are building a community of refuge where all have equal worth and are invited into spiritual exploration as a foundation for hope, compassionate service, and action. This is a place where questions are encouraged, a place with room for all of who you are, a place full of works for being human. So welcome. It is good to be here. Settle in and exhale, for this is a time for community.
I think that's my cue. All right, good morning, everybody. I'm Margot Fox, and I'm a member of the board, and I'd like to welcome you to this church where we are on a shared journey to find meaning, connection, and community together. If you are new to us, please fill out a blue welcome card and drop it in the offering basket so we can share information about our activities and help find what nourishes your spirit here. Note cards in your pew are available to write your joys and sorrows for pastoral prayer. We pass an additional basket during the offering to gather these. Write your name, or you can have it be anonymous. You can write "Do Not Share" if you have something you would like held in care by our worship leader and pastoral care team, but not spoken in prayer. So we have some activities and events coming up this next couple weeks. I hope I have everything, but please speak up if I missed something. We have coffee hour today, so please join us after service for some socializing, coffee, and looks like there's some treats in there. We have our garage sale next Saturday, so if you we're still taking donations, I think. Please see Marcy Lindy if you have stuff that you would like to donate or want to volunteer to help with that. We also have our first Sunday of the month potluck next Sunday. And then also coming up is the UU Campout, which is August 9th through 11th. Make sure that you sign up, and the point of contact for that is Cindy Wright with the Casper UU Church, and you can talk to Jed or look at your newsletter. If you're not getting the newsletter, please see Jed also for more information on that. Does anyone else have any announcements that I missed? No? Okay. With that, I would like to welcome Elizabeth.
Good morning. If you've been attending church throughout July, you've heard a lot about Rooted in Cheyenne. I just have a little more information for you. The volunteers who make up the Rooted in Cheyenne board and planting crews are dedicated to improving the health of our community in many ways. The trees that are offered through the program are selected to thrive in our harsh climate, which reduces the need to fertilize and prune them. This spring, the available shade trees included cottonwood, hackberry, maple, oak, 2 elm, and 2 linden varieties, among others. Sites with overhead power lines were offered the radius. Maintenance is simple. Just make sure young trees are watered twice a week during the growing season and once a month during dormancy. And Rooted in Cheyenne even provides a watering bag for newly planted trees. And finally, the most important part, and one of the reasons that Rooted in Cheyenne share the plate recipients is that Rooted in Cheyenne's work planting trees, 7th principle, respect for the interdependent web of existence.
Thank you. And so, as we receive our morning offering, please generally within of this congregation.
Let us sing this song for the turning echo of our turning. With every voice and every song, we will move this world along. With every voice and every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our turning. Let us sing this song for the world we made as one. With every voice and every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the
Gratitude, we receive our morning offering. That's a good point. I'll double check. I appreciate that y'all check me when I don't have my microphone on. And now, with gratitude for our microphones and our tech and AV folks who help out, we receive our morning offering. As we begin today's worship, this will be what's called a question box sermon. Instead of a sermon that I've made up in advance responding to a question that I've been pondering or some big issue I think you might want to know the answers about, we're a little more immediate today, opening up the floor to the questions that are stirring within you right now. So maybe you've been hearing something in the news cycle and you're wondering what a UU response might look like. Perhaps there's a bit of theology that's never quite made sense to you. Or you wonder, what happens to sin in a universalist worldview? Why were the Unitarians so upset about that Trinitarian Unitarian thing anyway? Maybe you need an answer to something more personal, something that's been on your heart, something you're struggling with. Whatever these may be, a question is to let you have a chance to be in that conversation dynamically, to let me know what's on your mind and your heart, what's come into this sanctuary right now. And we'll do this as we do in some of our classwork with our kids, so that no one needs to feel self-conscious or like if you can't raise your hand and say it in the moment, you can't have that question. we're all going to pick up a note card out of your pew. So let's everybody get a note card. Make sure you have one. If you need extras, just raise a hand and Jed is going to show to look around. We're all going to pick up at least one card. Anybody who still needs one, just raise that hand and Jed will bring you one. And we're all going to write something on our card. Whether it's a deep and serious question, whether it's a silly question, maybe it's just an appreciation for church, but every person is going to write something. That way, when we put our cards in the basket during our opening hymn here in a moment, we know that there are so many cards with writing on it, so many questions from this space, that whatever yours is, it will be in good company, part of a greater cloud of questions. Yours won't be the only one in that basket. It might be deep. It might be deeply imperfect. Either way, it will be what it needs to be. So let's just breathe into this space. I'll sound the bowl again and give us just another moment to write. Need answers. Days we are caught in the questions themselves. Some days, love makes a doorway open for us to move through. Other days, we are caught, wrapped in the sticky threads of our fears or our hate. Some days, the uncertainty of life feels unbearably constricting. Some days, the things we need to do, the tasks we must complete, the choices we feel forced into, the answers already given and paths pre-chosen feel like they are sending us hurtling down a path we never intended. In these moments, whether too open or too narrow, too much or too little, we come back to the center. We come to this shared space for contemplation, perhaps to simply slow down, to live in the questions and find our lives once more, to examine, to ponder, most importantly, to breathe, to make space for questions and answer, for the wondering and mystery to arise. For this we come to church, not for the certainty of answer, but for the space, at least, to ask. So in this moment, Let us open that space once more and let us worship. Our opening hymn says it is number 357 in your order of service. It is in fact number 354. So we don't have to live into that mystery. Just a couple pages forward. We will be singing verses 1 and verse 4 in your gray hymnal. So if you'll join me in rising in body or in spirit as you feel called, let us join together in song as Jed helps us pass a basket to collect all those good questions.
We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found our need to be together. We have our hearts to give. We have our thoughts to receive. And we believe that sharing is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found our joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
Rainer Maria Rilke says, "Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves. Like locked rooms and like books that are now written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers which cannot be given to you, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. Today we light a spark in hopes that it will guide us once more toward living along the paths of the question of our hearts."
And now, if the young at heart would like to join us on the chancel, we invite you to share in the leadership of speaking our covenant in unison before our time for all ages. You're up here because you know it. All right, the words to our covenant, for those who need them, may be found on the inside cover of your order of worship. They begin, "Love is the spirit of this church, and service its cause. This is our covenant. to dwell together in peace, to seek truth, and to help others. And so today, our story for all ages is a story from Kelly Wiseman Astruth Jackson called Rabbit Looks for God. I'm wondering how many people have had a wondering about God at some point in your life. That's more than a few. Well, one day, Rabbit set out in the woods carrying a question to all of the other creatures that Rabbit met. Rabbit wondered as they came first to a butterfly fluttering in an open field. They asked, "Friend butterfly, what can you tell me about this thing that is called God?" Well, butterfly thought for a moment. It was a very deep butterfly. Butterfly said, "God is the guiding wind that blows me from this field to that one, points me toward where the weather is warm, where I can help the flowers bloom by flying from one to another." And the rabbit thanked the butterfly. Ah, thank you. Jenkin does enjoy being part of our story times. Rabbit continued along their journey. Coming to a horse grazing at the other end of the field, the rabbit hopped up and said, "Friend horse, what can you tell me about this thing called God?" The horse looked at the rabbit and, still chewing away, said, God is the ground that holds me up, giving folks an open field to walk and run and press against, and all this lovely grass to eat." And Rabbit thanked the horse and hopped a little further onward. Pretty soon, Rabbit came to a slow-running stream where, peeking over the bank, Rabbit could just see a fish. And Rabbit dipped its mouth in the water to ask, "Friend fish, what can you tell me about the thing called God?" And Rabbit raised his head back up and put an ear in the water to listen for an answer. And through the bubbles, the fish replied, God is the water I swim in, surrounding me all the time. God gives me something to breathe and to move through. It is something that everyone needs to live. Well, Rabbit thanked the fish and bounded off again. Very soon after, Rabbit hopped so fast they almost ran right into a tree, craning their head upward into the uppermost branches. Rabbit asked, "Friend tree, what can you tell me about this thing called God?" And the tree answered slowly, but without hesitating, "God is the sun that feeds me and all of my neighbors and family. I spend all of my days reaching upward toward it and encouraging the shorter trees to do the same." And Rabbit thanked the tree, and seeing that it was getting late in the day, set off to go back home for the night. As the rabbit was approaching its den, their neighbor, the squirrel, called out from nearby, "Friend rabbit, after your day of asking the same question over and over and over, what can you tell me about the thing called God?" And the rabbit thought for a long time. And then Rabbit said, I can tell you that the butterfly cares deeply for the flowers, that the horse wants everyone to have open fields to roam upon, that the fish knows everyone needs water to live, and the tree hopes that its children will grow as tall as it has grown and more. And then Rabbit went down to his burrow and slept soundly all through the night. And so I thank you for listening to our story, for being with us in pondering these deep questions, just as Rabbit has done, just as we hope to do. Have a good time. We are going to our time of pastoral prayer. And so, let us breathe together. Let us offer our own hopes, dreams, our support for one another, our gratitude and celebrations. Spirit of life and of love, every week we come back together. And in this space, we make room for one another, for the good times and the hard ones. Today, we offer our prayers. We know that members of our community have had surgery recently and wish them well on their paths toward healing. We offer deep, deep thanks for all those offering support to one another. We offer thanks especially for our worship team who offered extra help in making our Veda Vu worship meaningful for so many of our members and those of the Laramie Fellowship last week, for being a part of nourishing our whole community. We offer our thanks to those who have been our garden helpers and fairies, and those who have not yet and hope to become part of all those who offer nurturing to our grounds. We offer our care to those dealing with grief, those dwelling in uncertainty, and we offer our gratitude for those who have found their way here this week. And so, as Frontier Days comes to a close, we offer too so much space for transitions, for our lives to move once again through that time we call the rest of the year. We know that there will still be outdoors and camping and joy and community, and a few less people on the streets in the weeks to come. And so we look around at this community and know that it is here for us, for the joys unspoken, the sorrows too tender to be spoken aloud. and yet may we find peace and comfort in community with one another. Amen, and blessed be. Today, to close our pastoral prayer, we have a hymn that is the sanctuary hymn. The words are by David Ruffin. We're going to do this together. The words are, "Make us aware we are a sanctuary, made holy and loved right through. With thanksgiving, will be a living sanctuary anew." So we'll hear the music and join in as you feel ready and called. We'll repeat a few times through.
Make us
So where we
our sanctuary, each made holy, love right through. With thanksgiving, will be a living sanctuary. Make us aware our sanctuary, each made holy, love right through. With thanksgiving, will be a living sanctuary anew. Make us aware our sanctuary, each made holy, love right through. With thanksgiving, will be a living sanctuary anew. Oh, with thanksgiving, will be a living sanctuary anew.
Can you coax your mind from its wandering and keep the original oneness? Can you let your body become supple as a newborn child's? Can you cleanse your inner vision until you see nothing but the light? Can you love people and lead them without imposing your will? Can you deal the most vital matters by letting events take their course? Can you step back from your own mind and thus understand all things? Giving birth and nourishing, having without possessing, acting with no expectations, leading and not trying to control. This is the supreme virtue.
This ground below us, is holy, holy, This air that breathes us, is holy, holy, So we're gonna hold with our hands and pray with our feet. the world that we love, for the world that we need. This bush is burning, this water's rising, our earth is hurting, our people cry. So we're gonna hold with our hands and pray with our feet for the world that we love, for the world that we need. Whoa, hold with our hands, pray with our feet for the world that we love, for the world that we need. Hold with our hands, pray with our feet for the world that we love, for the world that we need. Hold with our hands, pray with our feet for the world that we love, for the world that we need. Hold with our hands, pray with our feet for the world that we love, for the world that we need. So mercy, mercy, may we meet this moment, this world unfinished, but never broken. And courage, courage, may we guard creation, for every thousand, new generation. So we're gonna hope with our hands and pray with our feet for the world that we love, for the world that we need. So we're gonna hold with our hands and pray with our feet for the world that we love, for the world that we need, for the world that we love, for the world that we need.
It Matters What We Believe by Sophia Lyons-Foss. Some beliefs are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged. Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way into wider and deeper sympathies. Some beliefs are like shadows, clouding children's days and fears of unknown calamities. Other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing children with the warmth of happiness. Some beliefs are divisive, separating saved from unsaved, friends from enemies. Other beliefs are bonds in a world community, where sincere differences beautify the pattern. Some beliefs are like blinders, shutting off the power to choose one's own direction. Other beliefs are like gateways, opening wide vistas for exploration. Some beliefs weaken a person's selfhood. They blight the growth of resourcefulness. Other beliefs nurture self-confidence and enrich the feeling of personal growth. Some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, impotent in a changing world. Other beliefs are pliable, like the young sapling, ever growing with the upward thrust of life.
And so, today is a day to question our beliefs, to wonder about who we are, where we came from, what Unitarian Universalism is about, where this church is going. Some of the questions here are large. Some of the questions here are factual, and some are really about what we think and wonder, where many possible answers could be the right one for you today. It is always a joy to share in the question box sermon with a congregation. This is the first time that I have done this here, and there are pieces which are new and pieces which are familiar every time. And I thank you for being a part of it. So, we'll just start with one of those little questions. How does Unitarian Universalist faith help us to deal with evil in the world? This question is one of the questions that people have been asking of their faith for generations, for thousands of years. What do I do when the crops die, when the hunt doesn't go well, when people are mean, when things are hard? The unsatisfying answer is that, at least for Unitarian Universalists, there is no God with a set of scales balancing good and evil. There's no one out there trying to punish you or restore your karma. Sometimes the universe is a hard place. Sometimes things happen and they are bad things. Sometimes people make choices and they are the wrong choices and they cause harm. This is just true, and it is hard to deal with. One of the central questions that Chicago theologians, that Unitarian and Universalist at the merger of our denominations were trying to deal with at the close of World War II was this big question. How do people form the capacity, go ahead and kill millions of other people and think that's okay? Where is God in all of this? Does God not care? Does God not exist? Is God part of the evil? Process theology, which was created in this time, says no. Where God is in happening, where the divine or that which is more than any one splintered bit of us, where that is, where the meaning is made, is not in the hurricane or the flood or the car crash or the happenstance. It's in the moment after. The choices that people make, that when we choose to help, to reach out, to support, to form networks, to draw bonds of relationship once more after something which is a horrible happenstance, when we make the better choice to bind up the wound, to heal the broken, to help the hungry, that is the moment when the divine re-enters the equation, when we go from a chaotic and happenstance universe to one which holds more. That God is in, within, and with in the moments when we choose good. For me, that is a quintessentially Unitarian Universalist answer. It may or may not be an answer which works for you. And that is part of what being part of Unitarian Universalism means, is wrestling and pondering and saying, does this answer fit? Do I need something different, something more? And we keep talking about it. We keep figuring out together, what does community look like? What does the world look like? How do we think about this world in order to do what works and makes it meaningful and worthy of our time? For we have but one life. Our second question, sort of part of and a continuation of this, how can we bring forth more community between all people? I suspect that many of you have pieces of that answer in the things you're doing, not just in this moment where we are together in this sanctuary, but in all the other moments. How many people are involved in a singing group or theater or a group for meditation or discussion? If you're in any of those, you can just keep a hand up. How many of you go to some kind of class that's educational and talk to people? How many of you read books or watch shows that make you think and talk with your friends about it? How many of you stay for coffee hour when you have the time and say hello to someone and make sure they know that they're seen? Every one of those moments meant something deep to someone, at least once. Every time you take a moment out of your week, you are part of building community. And there's always more to do, because community has infinite possibility. Every time you meet a new person, every time you reconnect with an old friend, every time you invite someone here for the first time or to come back again after an absence, all of that is a part of building community, and it is holy work. I have a wondering about whether there's a UU view on creation. And I'm going to say yes. In fact, I bet if we asked around, we might have several UU views on creation. Because one of the fundamental things we believe here is that life is made of mystery. That we have some really good scientific theories that tell us where we think the universe might have come from, how it was formed. That science can be an excellent guide to the how. That science doesn't always tell us enough about what we're actually hoping to hear, which is why. Why were we formed? What's the purpose of being here? How come we are self-reflective monkeys who can have angst and worry about why we are here in the universe? That's a harder question. And that is part of why we're here. Because in the pondering and the wondering, we get a little closer to understanding ourselves and each other and being a part of a mystery that is not fearsome, but welcome and wondrous. We have some sort of technical historical questions about Unitarians. What was the main reason the Trinity was rejected so long ago by UU founders? How do we respond to those incredulous that we don't see Jesus as God? And say, how can we call ourselves Christians? From what I can tell, it's part of that big hope that Unitarians and Universalists have, that we believe so strongly that when we understand ourselves to be part of a oneness, a whole that is interconnected and interdependent with everyone and everything else, when we know, as our reading from the Tao Te Ching told us, that we are part of the 10,000 things, part of that great everything that is all of being, then we are best able to be kind to other human beings. We know them to be reflections of ourselves. And so for early Unitarians, that emphasis on the oneness of the divine, rather than seeing each of these three parts as discrete and emphasizing separateness, felt like part of holding that unity together. And sometimes, for some people, that means seeing Jesus as fully human and not especially God. For some people, it means seeing Jesus as fully human and therefore fully part of God, and knowing that every person in here also contains divinity within us, has the potential to be a fully love-filled being. And that is a wondrous, beautiful, hope-filled, and scary possibility. What if you have the power to change the world and to bring love back into it? What does that mean for how you live your life each and every day? For what we say to people wondering if we're Christian, some of us are. Some of us have paraded so far off the end of that Christian heresy plank that we are in a whole other country. Some of us are pagan. Some are atheists, some are Buddhist, but all of us are tied to this community that helps us to understand who we are and who we are together. And there are so many good questions here. One of our questions is, why do we all have to ask a question? And I think that's a good one, in fact. Because the thing is, here, we don't always have the same questions? We often don't have the answers. I often don't have the answers. But I ask of every person here, we ask of every person here, that you live into community and participate in it. That you be part of the wondering, because without you, we are a different community. When we have your voice, your questions as well as your answers, we become more. It changes the dimensions of everything. And church is not the Reverend Elizabeth show. Church is not Jed just putting up a newsletter of things Jed likes to do. Church is not our board making decisions on behalf of the congregation and everybody has to go along or get out. Church is you. So we all have to ask the questions because we are all participants in the creation of this space. And it matters that you're here, and it matters that you're here actively. So thank you to every person who put in a card. Thank you to every person who came here today, every person who isn't here today, but is part of this community. Because we, together, make who we are. We have so many more questions. And if I answered every one of them, we would have a 2-hour-long service and some very cranky people without their coffee. Yeah, no coffee, no food. We would be super sad. But what I will tell you is all the questions that we have not yet gotten to will be a part of creating the sermons that are to come in the weeks and months ahead, of guiding me in honoring your questions and being part of creating the journey of this congregation with you. If you're wondering about how to deal with family, if you're wondering about what happens in the hard times, about what the direction of this congregation might be, about how to deal with struggles, personal or community-based, if you're wondering about something here, we are looking for the answers with you. Whether we find them this week or next month, whether we find them in the weeks or the years to come, we are glad of your time with us on this journey. So thank you all so much. And blessed be. We ask, as we finish our worship service, that you rise in body or in spirit. Our sung response is number 128, for all that is our life. We sing our thanks and praise, for all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. Our needs we shall serve, for services we give. the common good and make our own days glad. And if you'll remain standing as we extinguish our chalice flame, we'll speak together the words in our order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry within our hearts until we are together again. So I offer you this blessing to cherish your doubts, to hold your questions and uplift them, letting the answers trip lightly along the paths of your life. For while answers may change, it is always meaningful to examine your life and to be an active participant in it. Blessed be.